BBC News.
And I'm joined now by Mahmoud Ali Hamad from BBC Arabic. Mahmoud, why is it so difficult to get aid to people who are clearly desperately in need of it, whether it's by road or air?
Well, what we are talking about today is part of a wider disaster that has gripped Syria for so long. I mean, 5 years worth of bombardment, airstrikes and shelling of civilian and urban areas has killed hundreds of thousands across the country. But what's interesting is that the government forces and the allied forces fighting alongside it has used a new concept in this war, which is, some people call it extermination by starvation or terror by famine. I'll give you an example. A city called Daraya in the suburbs of Damascus, a focal point of this very difficult humanitarian situation. The population of that city was about 80 to 100,000 prior to the war. Now we are talking about 4,000 people actually under siege in that city. So the huge reduction in numbers of those center urban areas has created a military incentive for the regime to punish the areas where they think the opposition might gain ground and grassroots mobilization of the youth in those areas. So basically it's being used as a tool of war, and the regime would like to have something given to it in return for actually easing the siege on those cities. And they've actually had some kind of demand during their Geneva negotiations last month.
So these three members of the UN, permanent members of the UN Security Council, calling for the UN to organise airdrops of aid, including food. I understand the World Food Programme did try an airdrop of food earlier this year. It wasn't very successful, was it? But what are the technical difficulties, if you like, in trying to organise something like that?
Those getting the right goods to the right locations is an issue, but we can, I mean, the international community think they can overcome that technical issue. The real problem is who owns the skies, who is in control of the Syrian skies. You have a coalition of 80 countries actually making use of the Syrian airspace to target ISIS cities and towns, and also you have the Russians in support of an already active Syrian Air Force airplanes, working in the the west of the country. So you have two different airspaces belonging to too many different supposedly opponents. But we think that some collaboration between the campaign that the US is leading in the east of the country and the Russians leading their own campaign to the west can probably produce an environment where those airdrops can basically get where they need to safely. That's the point. They need to know that wherever they're going to go inside Syria, they will be able to go back to their base safely. That's the issue now in question.
Okay, Mahmoud, thank you very much for that. Mahmoud Ali Hamad from BBC.